Hello again to everyone in this continuing series of video clips with the title My Journey to God in a Secular World. This should be video clip number 11. Before we continue with speaking about the problems in the Marian movement of priests, I would like to just recount a little bit of an article that I wrote recently, which with the title of Wars Are Caused by Our Sins, Fatima. And this article came about when, when as a priest I would talk to a lot of people and so on. And the other day I was with my mechanic. He had to fix my car. And so I was in his car. He was driving me back to the car after my car was fixed. And I was trying to help him a little bit. And so I said to him, I says, when you had some children, when they were smaller, when your children were smaller, and you gave them advice and guidance, did you give that advice and guidance for their benefit or for their harm? And he says, well, for their benefit. So then I said to him, I says, well, God the Father created the entire universe. He created the angels. He created the human beings. And He gave us 10 commandments for our benefit, not for our harm. And so I very quickly arrived to the point to say, we are very quickly arriving to the Third World War because almost no one today wants to live the 10 Commandments. This is the real cause of the wars, as Our Lady of Fatima told us. Wars are caused because very few people want to live the 10 Commandments, our sins. It's not so much caused by a few people like Hitler. No, it's caused by all of us together. And I said to him, I think this, even though this mechanic doesn't pray, doesn't go to the church, and he's very simple and so on, he kind of understood what I was trying to say. And I was in this article. Then I went on to talk about that. I find it much easier as a priest or whatever to talk with my mechanic John Paulo than to talk to the great majority of priests today in my diocese who have been formed in a seminary that over 50 years ago was infiltrated by ecclesiastical masonry to change, with the help of many Freemason bishops, to change fundamentally the theology and the morals and the faith. Fundamentally changed. There's a priest that gives me that comes to every once in a while to visit me to try to get me to think like everybody else. He was rather simple. He's not capable of responding to me, but he comes trying to get me to think like everyone else. And when he came to me, and I think I talked about this in another video, why have you not talked to the new bishop? And I says, because we're not in the same religion. Because the Freemasonry entered into the seminaries and the Catholic universities, fundamentally changed the religion that, in a simple way of talking, the truth no longer comes from God. The truth from God does not change with the world. The truth now comes from men in the world. Certainly, they don't say it like this. They say it beautiful words, very beautiful subjectivism or relativism. Oh, they have beautiful words. Read some of my articles and you see the beautiful words that they use to change the fundamental base of the religion from the truth from God to the truth from man. It's well organized by the Freemasonry, this change. And there's very grave consequences to this. And one of the things I put several times on Facebook is that when some of the priests realize my attitude, what I think about, thinking about and talking about Pope Francis, Cardinal Bergoglio, I quoted to them this phrase I found from St. Thomas Aquinas, quoting St. Augustine in his commentary on the right of subjects to resist flaky superiors. It was recalled in St. Paul's letter to the Galatians. St. Paul rebuked the first pope, St. Peter, to his face because he clearly was wrong. Galatians 2, verses 11 to 14. And he basically said, there being an imminent danger to the faith, prelates must be questioned, even publicly, by their subjects. Thus St. Paul, in a matter of faith, he was subject to St. Peter, but questioned him publicly on account of an imminent danger or scandal in the matter of faith. And as what St. Augustine wrote, he put it, St. Augustine wrote, St. Peter himself gave the example to those who govern, so that if sometimes they stray from the right way, they will not reject a correction as unworthy, even if it comes from their subjects. This is in the Summa Theologica. Showing both St. Augustine and St. Thomas Aquinas praise St. Peter for having the humility to not only listen to St. Paul, but after understanding he was right, and then to approve what he said. And they said this is the example for all superiors in the future. So, you know what I'm trying to say? What I'm trying to say in a simple way, if you come to me and you say, Father Joe, I think what you have said or written here is not in agreement with the teaching of the church. Maybe let's look at the documents. At that point, if I believe that the truth comes from God and not from me, and I have a little bit of humility, I'll say, okay, let's talk and let's look at these documents. Instead, if I think the truth comes from me, I'm not willing to talk to anybody that's not in agreement with me, as have done all the dictators in the history of the world. This should really, if someone has their eyes open a little bit, that they're truly seeking the truth from God, it was extremely grave, incredibly grave for people who had their eyes open when they discover that Pope Francis, Cardinal Bergoglio, refuses to speak with anyone that is not in agreement with himself, as if the truth comes from himself rather than from God. This is incredibly grave, but everybody doesn't even think about it. You know, and what I'm saying is that an incredible example of this, of course, was when the four cardinals who wrote the Dubia, and Cardinal Bergoglio absolutely refused to talk with them. There's no longer any dialogue in the last 10 years in the church. And so anyway, then maybe now I could continue where we left off with in the priest movement. That we left off with Padre Quartilio. Padre Quartilio, when he had written that article, which I had translated for them. Maybe we'll continue in the next video, continue with the problem in the Marian movement of priests. May God bless you and Mary guide you.